entertainment, insights. Don't take life too seriously. Welcome to Brainski Unleashed. Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Brainski Unleashed. Today I'm being joined by Bob LeMent. He is with Static Radio. He's been recording static radio content since 1999. If you've ever listened to any of his shows, he just kind of has sort of just a free-flowing format, and he's comedic by nature, and so I thought, what a fun guest to have on. So, Bob, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so...
watch out behind your head there. There's some giant blades, some
yes,
kind of turbine.
Hallelujah, it's a picture, and I'm not going to die. So I've got that going for myself. Granted, you never know these days.
That's
rockets
true.
can fall on your head, depending on where you are.
Right.
Okay, so Bob, first of all, again, thanks for joining the show. And you've got Static Radio. Now, why in the world would you start Static Radio? What brought you to the point where you're like, you know what? I'm going to talk into a microphone and create some sort of content. Why?
Well, I suppose the original antithesis was when I was a kid, I did it. I talked into a microphone. There just wasn't a lot of outlets for a young kid to have his voice heard, to be honest with you. But for Static Radio, I used to do college radio. So in college, I was on college radio station with my co-host Miles Title, and we did a show which was very similar to what we do still to this day, except we actually played music back in those days, probably more music than talking, and now it's all talking with no music. But after we graduated, I was dabbling in internet things, and I said, hey, you know what, we could do this show that we did on the internet. Why don't we do that? And he's like, oh, okay. I mean, he's very non-committal. Even to this day, we've been recording now for over 20 years, and it's still like, I text him and I'm like, hey, you want to record a show? Yeah, whatever. Yeah, okay. That's kind of his thing. But that's where it all kind of started, and we just kept it going all these years. To be honest with you, I figured it would not continue, but for whatever reason, I guess it still has, and we just we record every week. We put out a little show. We didn't do we used to do music, obviously, in college radio, but didn't do that back then because that was in the height of Napster, where they were suing everybody's grandma for hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I thought, I don't want to be a part of that. And so we just tell the stories, because that's essentially what we used to do before was we would play music, we would tell some stories, have some little humor in there. I think now we're probably at that point in time we weren't really regulated, but obviously you can't just say anything that comes into your head, even in college radio. So we were a little more subdued than we even are now. So that's probably the big difference there.
I mean, using the internet,
It's true.
What's the latest hit from Taylor Swift? I'm not sure if I could find it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't exactly.
Who's she sleeping with now? It's all over the internet.
The kooky thing is if there used to be a thing. Well, actually, I think it's still out there called Live 365, where literally people would play music, and that was in the early 2000s or early 2000s, I guess. But it still exists in some form. But
doesn't really make sense, though, does it?
No, it doesn't. This is much more fun. You get to hear from people maybe you never would hear from, and it's much different than the terrestrial radio. We still do terrestrial radio, even though it's not really a thing anymore.
I don't use it anymore. I don't.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's been years. For me, I went from terrestrial radio to Sirius XM. I was a big Howard Stern fan. Yeah, well, I made the change when he made the change, and now I don't even really listen to that much. Now it's all about like podcast, or maybe I listen to music on XM or whatever. But I mean, terrestrial, who listens to it anymore?
I don't know. That's a good question. I haven't either for a long time.
I hate commercials, albeit at some point during this show, I guarantee we're going to pepper a commercial in there. But yes, I hate commercials.
Be careful on the hate.
But say,
I don't like so many commercials.
Work for Profit Max. So
Yeah.
yeah, there will be a commercial in this, I guarantee it. But I hate commercials. But listen to mine and work with us. So do you have like a lot of listeners? I mean, a lot of subscribers?
Uh, that's it. We're all over the place, and so I don't know that I can even give you a number. We still aren't, because we've been doing this for so long. We've been on many different platforms, but I still am not affiliated with any of the major. Like we're on Spotify, but I'm not affiliated with Spotify.
Right.
Basically, everybody just steals it and puts it on their aggregator, and everything resides on our website. And so I know the numbers from the website. And I mean, we do fine. I mean, it's, we're obviously not the Rogans of the world, but that's okay. I mean, it's really a fun thing to do. And so, we have people, I've talked to people all over the world via the, just interactions behind the scenes and so forth. And we've actually even talked to people in different parts of the world. Every once in a while, we'll have guests on, and so sometimes they come on from different places, usually English speaking, since I don't speak any other language, at least beyond curse words. And then, but yeah, we do have people, and a lot of them stuck around for a really long time. So there's a lot of people who I've known, my internet friends, as I call them, for decades.
I haven't
It's
gotten my
weird.
invite yet. It maybe got lost in the mail.
You don't have to be invited. You just got to jump in, jump in, make fun of us, tell us we're stupid. I mean, it all starts with some kind of weird interaction, generally speaking, and then it kind of goes from there. I mean, it's just been so kooky over the years. The weird people that I encounter, I don't mean weird in a negative way, the very positive way in a weird thing. Just people trying to be themselves and finding interest in listening to a couple of numbskulls from the Midwest.
I As I was listening to some of your content, I started wondering. I mean,
Wow, you call it content. That's even better.
I
You're
mean,
using your highfalutin words there.
this is
I
some
was
official.
listening to your crap, and
I,
it
you know, I
really
was
made me mad.
I was listening to the drivel that you guys have.
That's right,
and
exactly.
and I mean, you guys are all over the map. I mean, you guys will bounce around from maybe news of the day, topics of the day, to
Hmm.
finer details of the gas that you pass. Which, by the way, I'm a
Yeah.
professional at that. So
Oh, good.
any of my friends and family can tell you I'm very good at
That's
that.
right.
Oh my God! Speaking of that, so I was
Noxious fumes. What's
yeah.
that?
So I was flying back from Frankfurt to Washington yesterday,
Holy
and
moly.
I'm
Which
sitting there.
Frankfurt are we talking about? Let me
Germany.
clarify. Oh
Germany.
my
Yeah.
gosh.
And so there I
Frickin'
was.
fly.
Yeah. So I'm laying there. I got the lie flat seat. I upgraded myself because I had enough points to upgrade myself. So I'm some of the
Goodness.
the United Polaris. Therefore, I'm a VIP. Like,
Yeah.
where as you're sitting there in your seat and people like are passing you as they're going down the aisle and they're looking at you like you're some colossal asshole because you have this nice seat
Yeah.
and they're going to be in steerage.
Who are you to be laying flat on a
yeah,
plane?
yeah. It's like you want to be. You don't want to look like the colossal asshole, but everyone looks at you like you're a colossal asshole, and so that's just kind of how that rolls. And so all these people are passing me, and they're looking at me, and I'm like, I'm not a VIP. I just I use.
You should get some
You can
business
you can
cards.
really you people keep looking at me like I'm some.
Mhm. They're like,
So there I was in flight, and I don't know, just had like this endless amount of gas, and I mean, thank God it was like not
good,
smelly.
good thing you had the extra space.
Yeah, I had the pod, so it was
Yeah.
probably like there was no
Yeah.
smell though that I could tell. So therefore, whatever
Well,
was
of
being
course
contained,
not. That's the whole. That's God's plan. You don't have to
it
smell
was.
yourself.
I mean, what a gift! Because I mean, I guarantee you, my seat mates or pod mates or whatever you want to call it, had to have heard it because it was just like
Oh my
one after another after another, and I'm like, it just was endless. Like, my God, where's this even coming
What
from?
did you have the bratwurst or something while you were over there?
Oh,
What
I
did
don't
you
know. It's
have?
like I just was so full of air and just so happy to be there, I guess.
A
It
lot
was
of
just
beer. Did
relaxing
you
in
drink
the
a lot of
process.
beer? Did you go
Um,
into the forest there?
and it's like it wasn't happening when I was in the seated position. But if I put
Mhm.
the seat to like lie flat, all of a sudden it's like my body's like, hey, I gotta get this out.
That's that's what happens with a pressurized cabin. It like
Fascinating.
squeezes you like a tube of
It
toothpaste.
really
Apparently.
does. Now, I know from experience that if you're in an airport, it's a major airport. We're talking like Chicago or Kennedy or LAX or whatever, and so there's a lot of long haul flights that come
Oh yeah.
live there.
Hmm.
You ever spend any time in a men's room?
I unfortunately I did have a story in Phoenix where I had to evacuate myself in the Phoenix airport, and the stupid auto flush just kept
Oh, I
flushing on
hate
me. I
that.
could not, but I was in mid. It didn't flush. It tricks you. You get in there, you get settled in. You got to do your business. It's the airport. It's busy. There's like people all around you. You're trying to, get everything going. And then all of a sudden, this auto flush just
It
would not
just,
stop.
oh, it's the
Constant.
worst. You get so wet. It's like
Yes. Yes.
it's like the bidet you never wanted.
That's right. Yeah. I come out of that stall looking like I went to Magic Mountain or whatever. I was just covered with water all the way down the bottom. I was like, oh my Lord.
Well, actually,
My wife was like, what were you doing? Oh,
what also happens there is they give you this nice quality single ply paper, so you got to
oh
use
yeah.
an
Well,
entire
you
roll
might
of
as
it to
well.
dry yourself. It's a nightmare.
I'm surprised they don't even put now we have everything's touchless, so you got to wave your hand. I'm surprised they
Right.
don't have the toilet paper thing where you wave your hand now.
Oh, then they give you the
Bzzz,
two
you get
pieces
like,
because they limit the usage. It's so
yeah,
frustrating.
like after a while they give you a message that says, oh my Lord, what are you doing in here?
But see, when you're a sick freak like myself, and you sit there in this room trying to do your business after your long flight or short flight,
Yeah,
depending,
well,
but you
you
are
don't want to
surrounded
do it
by
on
a
the
bunch of
plane.
people.
That's for sure.
But the thing is, you're surrounded by a bunch of people who've just come out of these pressurized tubes, and so they begin to depressurize. And I swear to God, it is like an orchestra in there. It is.
It's like
I
Oompa band.
I laugh like I sit there and I laugh like a child laughing at a fart because I'm totally immature like that. And it's like there's been so many times I thought to myself, man, wouldn't it be cool if I would like set my phone to record audio
Oh
and
my
like
God, did you record in the
and just record
bathroom?
everyone's music because it's absolutely astounding when you listen to
The fruits of our labor.
it. Exactly. So if anything, maybe I've given you something you could work with in the future, and
Oh, I don't know. That sounds like Miles' territory. He's a little more into the bodily
but
function.
you
I'm
know,
surprised he didn't think of this. To be honest with you, now he's going to be mad that he didn't think of this now.
having listened to your show, I realize that if I give this to you, you can change the name of the show from static radio to
Hmm.
dynamic radio.
Dynamic.
Dynamic.
Oh, okay.
It's moving. It's in motion.
Yeah. Well, well, at least as long as it's not constipation radio, I'll be
Well,
fine with that.
that's
So.
normally when you hear grunt radio.
That's right. Oh my Lord, this is a. I'm sorry that you had such a bad. Well, I don't know if you.
That's a
did have
normal
bad
experience.
It was
That's
a
the
good
great part.
experience, I guess.
It's so common. It's like I've come to expect it.
Enjoyable experience. I am totally mortified in these crazy public restrooms, even though you have to do it. But
You're mortified?
oh my Lord, yes, I
Oh.
cannot. It's just
Oh. Walk out
it's
with
one
pride.
of those things. It's like. I don't know. It's like stage fright, I suppose. I don't know. Not that anybody's paying it. Well, now that what you just mentioned, maybe other people are recording in the
It could
bathroom.
be.
I don't know.
But is that technically copyright infringement?
I don't. It's a public restroom.
It's
I
my
mean,
artwork. I don't have rights to it.
I suppose as long as you don't have the visuals, you won't get sued or anything.
It's-
I mean, it's
you
really
don't
hard
know.
to say. Wait a minute, that was me. You hear that? That was me. You can
would
tell
you recognize?
because I'm only 25% wet when I fart. How are you going to prove that in a court of law, right? Oh my Lord! But no,
But don't be afraid, Bob.
Brainski Unleashed is powered by ProfitMax. Did you know that 93% of businesses overpay on their taxes? Do you pay too much in taxes? A recent study showed that businesses are overpaying between 34 and 71%. ProfitMax is proven, legal tax strategy solutions to reduce your tax burden. I'm not only a client, but I even joined the team to help other business owners just like me pay only their fair share and nothing more. Go to profitmax.co. That's profitmax.co. Profitmax.co to find out more. You can even connect with me there, as you should. And I'll help make sure that your tax bill is legally as low as allowed. ProfitMax. Keep your cash.
Well, I think it's more a nervousness, perhaps. I don't know.
Walk out like a boss, like you just owned that thing.
Well, the last time I flew to Hawaii last year, and true story, the first time I've ever used the bathroom on the plane, because I flew to. I know exactly. Thank you for that reaction. Because now I've flown to Europe and I never used the bathroom. So this last year I flew to Hawaii. I had to use the bathroom, and apparently I did not get it locked because the guy opened the door on me.
You had a guest.
Thankfully, I was just taking a whiz, and also thankfully that my shoulder. I got the shoulders of a linebacker, and so I was standing there, and basically I would look like one of those, logic tests where you got to put the square peg and the square thing in the round. I was stuck in that bathroom, shoulder to shoulder against the wall. So, it just looked like I was part of the, I was like stuffing in there or something. So, but yeah, the guy opened the door on me, and then the stewardess is like, oh my. And she shuts the door and locks it from the outside for me. But I had never used the bathroom.
I
thought I had done it, but these things they're built for tiny people.
You lock the door at home?
I'm like, oh yeah, well, I shut the door. I don't know if I lock it.
You lock the door in a public restroom?
Yeah, but it's a little easier to deal with because I'm basically I was like a can of cranberries. I walked into this thing, and then I'm like stuck shoulder to shoulder, spin around. I thought I had it locked, didn't have it locked,
and then you had guests.
And I turned around and I started taking a leak, and then next thing I know, there's more daylight, and. I'm like, and then the poor stewardess lady is, oh my, and then I come walking out. That was probably the more embarrassing, but thankfully I was sitting in the back row, so I just kind of tucked around. Wasn't too bad.
Those guys, I've run into people like you.
I feel
bad for you, Bob.
Why is that?
My heart goes out to you because you didn't lock the door, and now you're standing there and you're just freaking out, and you probably have that momentary pause of, uh-oh, and then all the action stops. Then you got to restart.
Luckily, the action didn't stop because I had to really go, so it was all happening. It didn't. He could have just stood there and tapped me on the shoulder, and I wouldn't have stopped because everything had to happen. So. Otherwise, I wouldn't have used the bathroom. It wasn't so severe. Otherwise, I would have just waited till he landed. But it's like it was a 5-hour flight from Los Angeles over to Hawaii. So, yeah.
I mean, from your show perspective, obviously we've obviously covered bowel movements.
What else?
So we've got all the hot topics covered. What are some of the other things that you normally cover? I mean,
it depends. So, if you ask me about the show, there's a couple of different definitions, I suppose, I give to the show. So either it's a 20 plus year conversation, or we really try to tell stories. So each week, the idea is that we each tell a story of some kind generally about whatever's happening. So it's very much based in the now, what has happened or what is happening. Although every once in a while, if I'm short a story, then I go into the past and bring them up. But mostly it's in the now, and we try to crack each other up a bit, and we interject on each other's stories and so forth. So it really is kind of kind of a back and forth break your balls kind of a situation, if I can say that, between us, and that's kind of what it happens. And then you just never know. We've known each other for a long time, but you never know what's going to trigger a reaction. And that's really what you're trying to do, is we're trying to get reactions out of each other. And you think and then you say something, and then that falls flat. And then sometimes you'll just say, random things, and then that hits something, and all of a sudden it all lets loose. And so it's really quite fun because it's so even though it's we've known each other for a long time, it's really so random. I mean, you just never know what is going to hit. Like, for instance, we recorded yesterday, and I forget what we were talking about, but I talked, if you remember, many years ago, Farrah Fawcett, when she was older, she painted with her body, her naked body. I don't know if you remember this. So
it sounds vaguely familiar.
So she had got a large canvas, and she would put paint on herself, and she'd roll around on it. And I mentioned this, but I mentioned it in the context that I was going to do this. And I don't know why, but it set Miles off totally. And if you listen to this week's show, it hasn't posted yet, but it'll post soon. Listen to this week's show. He just gets giddy thinking about not just me, but I was at a kind of an event, kind of a situation, and me and a bunch of other people rolling around naked on a canvas. But it just came out of nowhere. That really wasn't my story. My story was actually about this woman who was pawing me, and I kind of was, weirded out by it a little bit. But anyway, it spun off into this whole thing about painting naked, kind of like Farrah Fawcett did all those years ago. So
my head goes to really kind of take it to a different level. I mean, with logistics wise, because my head goes to logistics, right? Like, geez. Get themselves completely like painted up and then roll around on a canvas. Yeah. It might not look good, but then again, hands, like, hand painting or hand prints, maybe a setup like.
Well, we were kind of talking about painting with other parts of the body.
Well, right, but I mean, if you do naked twister, depending on the length that you've got, you might actually have some artwork. You know what I mean?
Well, it may. You'd have a lot of butts and fingers.
I mean,
and other things.
Good for you.
It could be interesting.
What? I think you should do it, and I think.
Now you put me on the spot here. I don't know. Let me think.
We need
about
you
that.
to commit to this as as professionals as we are.
To loop back to the gas thing, I said that I had a little gas and I made a Jackson Pollock. But anyway, so if anybody's an art person, you'll get that one. But anyway. So see, so now again, just a non sequitur kind of thing thrown out there, and you're thinking about it. And, it caught you.
You can't say that and not let it go through your head and just think.
What if? Yeah, actually, there are people I'm sure that do that. I mean, I'm sure that there's a whole artwork section that is just bodily function art. Yeah.
So, share with you something.
Oh, but no, I don't know. Maybe you've already really shared a lot with your whole first class gas situation.
So, just to top it all off, right? So, it's like you eat. Mm-hmm. I'm in,
Yeah, so you get peanuts and cashews.
So towards the end of the flight, they come through with like options. Landing snack.
Mm-hmm.
Now after hours and hours of just like endless gas, unexplainable endless gas, there were options for my snack. One of the options.
Did they cross out the Mexican option for you?
No. The funny thing is, one of the options was vegetarian chili. That's what I got. That is what I decided to eat. I thought, you know what? I'm putting the cherry on top of this thing. I went for the vegetarian chili.
And then that's why you had to tend to the bathroom when you landed.
Well, you do have to go. For me, you obviously don't use the airplane bathroom. I live on airplanes, so I'm not afraid of it whatsoever. Yeah. For my pre-landing movement, I went for that to kind of enhance the effect.
Really? Holy moly. I remember I was on the flight. I was going over to Europe, and I was in the center, right? So 2 aisles, 3 rows. And then luckily I wasn't next to it, but somebody has to sit right next to the middle bathroom. It's like right there. Yeah. I'm like, I'm glad I didn't get that seat. I would be listening to, John Philip Sousa all the way across the Atlantic.
I go for that seat because it's easy access.
It's right by the bathroom.
Right. Then I don't have to stand in line. It's like I'm like an Eagle Scout watching that thing. Like, oh, bam, I'm on it.
Get in there.
Got it.
I gotta get in and get my time in.
Oh yeah. Some people are afraid. They're like, oh, I'd rather sit somewhere away. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
When you've got to go.
Well, it's true. If it's really if it's an emergency, you want to be closer rather than further.
So let me
especially since they don't let you hang out by it anymore. So
right. So let me take this from oops arts urination.
Okay.
We got to segue to something. Let's talk about
How about tax code? Can we talk about tax code?
Let's talk about World War III. Are we going into World War III, Bob?
Right now, no. These guys have been fighting the entire time, so we need to get somebody else involved to get up to escalate it to World War III.
Is that going to happen, Bob?
There's not enough extra people involved in this yet.
So not enough. So if
that's my thought. I mean,
but if there were to be more involved, it's going to be in World War III, Bob.
No. Nobody wants it. I'll pose you this here. Get a little bit of my conspiracy hat on here. I'll pose you this question, right? Okay, because we hate. We're in the United States. I think we should make that known because you look like you could be from another country, and so do I.
Well, I've been told I do look like a terrorist at times. So,
well, I wasn't thinking that.
Or a paperboy. It's either way.
I was thinking a businessman. I was thinking you could be, from France or something. So, so think about this, right? So we don't like, the United States doesn't like Russia, doesn't like China and everything, right? Have we ever not teamed up to shoot things into space with these people ever?
Does that matter anymore?
No, I'm just saying, even with everything going on, don't we still buddy up and say, hey, we're gonna fire a rocket into space together. Let's go together. Okay, we'll go together. That tells me, everything's still okay. It's all optics. You know what I mean? You have to have an enemy in order to get some things done, And so they're like, yeah, okay. The smartest people, like if you watch any kind of strategy kind of things or games or anything, is to buddy up with somebody and then be enemies, because then everybody, they don't like each other. I should trust them because they don't like them. And then it all happens in the background. We're not going to be at war with any of these people. They don't want to go to war. They want wars to happen in places where they want war, but not between the main people anymore.
I'm going to hold you to your word, Bob. We need to make sure that war does not break out. So as long as we've got a space program, we will work together.
Yeah, so far. I mean, there's a big racket now. China wants to have their own space station by themselves.
Already? I thought they did.
I don't think they do. I think it's still just the international one. Yeah. Well, I mean,
I read an article
who knows?
Recently where they did.
Who knows? Maybe they shot a shipping container up there or something. I don't know. I mean, they're all over the world. So
giant thing in space, made in China.
That's right. It's a bunch of Cupid dolls or something are floating around up there. The Elon Musk of China is like, watch this. I'm going to shoot Cupid dolls into space in the container. But no, I don't think so. Honestly, I think that the powers that be do want to have these skirmishes because they make everybody scared, keep everybody under control, but they don't really want to fight each other. They talk about it a lot and they posture and pose and everything, but in reality, they're all smoking cigars and drinking bourbon in the back room, talking about shit. So
I'm going to ask you this then. Is Joe Biden actually alive right now?
That's a good question. I have never understood. You're giving me all these politics questions. We normally don't talk about politics on our show just because.
Not really political. I mean, does anyone really know the answer to that? I don't think so.
I'm assuming he's still alive. I don't understand. I personally don't understand how. Again, this is one of those conspiracy things because it's like. In the press, they're like, we want to have forward-thinking government and all this kind of. And then what do? You elect an 80 80-year-old president. Sorry, I'll keep my language down.
No, it's okay. I swear all the time.
Okay, but you elect an 80-year-old president, and it goes against everything that anybody says. And then if you tell somebody that, so like, let's say you're a pro-Biden person, right? And I say, well, why would they elect the 80-year-old man? Well, they elected him so that they could get the woman in. Well, why didn't you just elect the woman? Right. Your logic is so flawed. If you wanted a woman in, elect a woman. I mean, it's stupid. But the powers that be won't let them. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're the powers that be. We're all the powers that be, aren't we?
But I think the reason that Joe Biden, I do believe he's still alive.
Oh,
it's questionable. Yeah, it's questionable.
Yeah.
But I think that the reason
does he wear an Apple Watch or a Fitbit or anything? We could take a look at that.
That's a great question. I think the reason though that at least they prance the body of Joe Biden around. It's like Weekend at Bernie's. I think that the reason that they do that though is to avoid having Harris in office. Like I think nobody actually likes Kamala Harris to the point that they will literally carry Bernie around. Not Bernie Sanders, but almost like a Weekend at Bernie, just to prevent that, because that would actually be worse than the dead guy.
That's funny. Yeah, I don't know. I do think that popular media certainly doesn't seem to like her that much, and I haven't seen her here lately anyway. So
nobody likes her. I mean, her poll numbers are actually worse than I think she has poll numbers worse than Satan.
Oh, is he running? Because I was thinking
he would actually outperform her.
I think, he would. Sadly, maybe he could inhabit Biden's body, and then we just have a whole other thing going on. Really it could be like a Scooby-Doo episode where the ghost, is in the body of Joe Biden.
So, listen, Bob, pleasure having you on the show. It's been fun riffing. A lot of my episodes are not like riff worthy per se, but
I know I listened to some tax thing. That's why I mentioned it.
Well, I mean, I could talk taxes all day. Half of my episodes talk about taxes. The fact of the matter is, if anyone's listening to this, you are paying too much in taxes. You need to contact
That's what you said. You're paying too much.
You are paying too much. The stats.
Can I write this cartoon off? Is this possible?
Yes, actually, you probably could.
If
you were monetized,
thanks for the tip.
Yes, you could. And believe me, after the show, we should certainly talk about maybe saving you on taxes. But
I'm not going to fund your private seat in the plane. Come on.
Fund the seat? Are you kidding me? You use points. You get the points. You upgrade. Hello.
Oh, come on now. You know points are a scam. Come on.
Upgrade to look like the asshole. That is how this works.
Oh, it's an asshole upgrade. Fantastic.
Basically is, yes.
It could be a tick box.
Bob, is there any last words you want to share with the audience? Again, it's been a pleasure having you on. How can they find you?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. You can go pretty much we're everywhere, it seems like these days. But if you do Static Radio on any of the socials and Static Radio on any of the major domain names, so staticradio.com, .net, or .org. All of them lead to the same place.
So if you want to hear more riffing from Bob and his partner Miles, and just random ramblings, which can be entertaining if you're into that sort of thing.
Yeah, if you don't have anything to do,
they've got
we're huge with the homeless. So
that's something to brag about. So we're going to leave it at that. Bob, entertainer of the homeless. And thank you so much for joining the show. And remember, profit max, keep your cash.